Good morning, dear student. I hope you people are fit and healthy. Today I am going to discuss state jurisdiction. It is one of the important component of public international law. The exercise of jurisdiction by a state is an essential attribute of state sovereignty. The state jurisdiction signifies the power of a state to exercise control over the persons, property, acts and events under its national law. It concerns essentially the extent of each state's right to regulate conduct or consequences of events. This include the power to prescribe. This include the power to prescribe. It is also called prescriptive jurisdiction and enforcement jurisdiction. That is the legislative, executive and judicial rules. It may be civil and criminal. It may be concurrent with other states, or it may be exclusive jurisdiction, or it may be exclusive. Jurisdiction also connotes the competence of the court of law to try a particular dispute. Generally, every state exercises exclusive jurisdiction within its territory. But international law does not put any limitation on the state's power to exercise jurisdiction beyond its territorial limits. Restrictions upon the independence of states cannot be presumed. The Permanent Court of International Justice in the famous SS Lotus case laid down that there is no restriction on the exercise of jurisdiction by any state unless that restriction can be shown by the most conclusive evidence to exist as a principle of international law. Although it is true that there is no jurisdiction on a state's jurisdiction, although it is true that there is no restriction on a state's jurisdiction, nonetheless, states generally refrain from exercising their jurisdiction over acts with which they have absolutely no concern. The territorial basis of jurisdiction normally is the starting point in this matter. So first is civil jurisdiction. ठीक है? In matters of civil jurisdiction, the municipal courts apply private international law in those cases where a foreign element is involved. But the courts in normal circumstances are reluctant to exercise jurisdiction unless there is a substantial connection between the foreign element and the forum, either by allegiance or by domicile. That is, for example, that the defendant or the facts of the case should have some connection with the forum state. The exercise of jurisdiction without such a connection may be an ultra vires act, which could lead to international responsibility of the state. The matters related to the enforcement of civil jurisdiction involving criminal sanctions do not differ substantially from criminal jurisdiction over aliens. दूसरे प्रकार का जो jurisdiction है वो criminal jurisdiction है. Criminal matters also, the substantial connection between the alleged offender or the offense with the state exercising jurisdiction is necessary. The state practice discloses 4 general principles on the basis of which states generally claim penal jurisdiction. First, the territorial principle, which determines jurisdiction by reference to the place where the offense is committed. Second, the nationality principle, which determines jurisdiction by reference to nationality either of the person committing the offense, even with respect to events occurring entirely abroad, or with reference to nationality of the person injured by the offense. Third, protective principle, which refers to jurisdiction according to the national interest of the state injured by the offense. Fourth, the universality principle, which provides jurisdiction by reference to the nature of the crime. For example, piracy jure gentium, piracy hostis humani generis. The jurisdiction based on these principles may give rise to concurrent jurisdiction by two or more states, leading to conflicting claims. This may lead to a situation where neither state is willing to give the other precedence and where international law may provide no satisfactory solution, because in such cases it is not the competence of the state that is at issue but the relative rights of other states. Further, though it cannot be doubted that there should be some link between the offense or the offender and the state claiming jurisdiction, nevertheless, it is difficult to state precisely how close that link should be satisfy the requirements of international law. Next element is basis of jurisdiction. Why jurisdiction should be exercised? What are the basis behind that? So first basis is territorial jurisdiction. Territorial jurisdiction. The power of a state exercise jurisdiction over person, property or events. Person, property or events occurring within its territory is conceded by international law. तो स्टेट अपना जुरिस्डिक्शन किस पे एक्सरसाइज करता है? पर्सन पे, प्रॉपर्टी पे या इवेंट पे. And these event, property or persons occurring within the territory. All persons present, even transiently, and incidents occurring therein are amenable to state jurisdiction. It is generally presumed that the laws and statutes of a country are limited to its territory unless a contrary intention appears and an extraterritorial application is established. In the famous Lotus case, the court observed that jurisdiction is certainly territorial. It cannot be exercised by a state outside its territory except by virtue of a permissive rule derived from international custom or from a convention. There are obvious reasons for this close connection between state's territory and its jurisdictional competence, particularly relating to criminal law. For example, the state where the crime is committed generally has the strongest interest in punishing the criminal. Second, the local forum is the most convenient one, since the witnesses and other facilities are most probably available there. And third, offender is most likely to be found there. And fourth, to avoid the element of double jeopardy, that is subjecting the persons to two legal systems at the same time. In general, a state has exclusive jurisdiction within its own territory, subject to certain extensions and exceptions laid down by international law. Because of them, in practice, the state may exercise jurisdiction outside its territory. Normally, no problem will arise for an offense if it is either exclusively committed within the state territory or outside the territory. But it becomes problematic if the crime has been planned and set in motion in one state and has its effect in the territory of another state. For example, if A in state X shoots and kills B, A in state X shoots and kills B in state Y, or if A obtains money by false pretension by means of a letter posted in state X to B in state Y, an offense is probably committed in both the states, depending upon the constituent elements of murder and related offenses in the criminal law of each of them. In such circumstances, states arrogate to themselves jurisdiction by technically extending the territorial jurisdiction on the basis of subjective territorial principle and objective territorial principle. According to subjective territorial principle, a state has jurisdiction over a crime when it is commenced within the state but completed or consummated abroad. The objective territorial principle applies in reverse order. That is, when a crime commenced in another state but is completed or consummated within its territory, the state concerned in such a case can take action against the offender. The objective territorial principle is generally accepted and applied, according to which jurisdiction can be exercised when any essential constituent element of a crime is consummated in state territory. In DPP versus Dooth, this was a case of 1973 decided by House of Lords. In this case, the respondents were aliens convicted of conspiracy to import cannabis resin into the United Kingdom. They were arrested in England while executing the agreement amounting to conspiracy was made abroad. The House of Lords held that English courts had jurisdiction in these because the offence continued to occur in England. Lord Wilberforce stated, the present case involves international elements. The accused are aliens and the conspiracy was initiated abroad. But there can be no question here of any breach of any rules. But there can be no question here of any breach of any rules of international law if they are prosecuted in this country on the basis of objective territorial principle. In Mubarak Ali Ahmad versus State of Bombay, AIR 1957 Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of India observed that the fastening of criminal liability on a foreigner in respect of culpable acts or omission in India which are juridically attributable to him, notwithstanding that he is corporeally present outside India at the time, is not to give any extraterritorial operation to the law, for it is in respect of an offence whose locality is in India that the liability is fastened on the person and the punishment is awarded by the law, if his presence in India for the trial can be secured. Thus, in such cases, though the offence is committed outside, but by reason of the principle of constructive presence of the offender treated as being committed within the territory, and the fact that the offender is outside the territory of the state at the time of commission of the offence is not an obstacle to the exercise of the jurisdiction. The principle also received a fillip from the Permanent Court of International Justice in the Lotus case. The case originated in a collision on the high seas between the French ship, the Lotus, and the Turkish vessel Bajkot, resulting in the sinking of the Bajkot and the death of 8 Turkish nationals. On reaching Constantinople, the French officer of the watch and captain of the Bajkot were arrested and convicted with manslaughter by a Turkish court. France protested and challenged the legality of Turkish action. By an agreement between the parties, the dispute was submitted to the PCIJ. Before the court, France raised 2 main contentions. First, international law does not allow a state to take precedence with regard to offences committed by foreigners abroad simply by reason of the nationality of the victim. And international law recognizes the exclusive jurisdiction of the flag state over events occurring on board a ship on the high seas. The judgment of the court was rendered by the casting vote of the president. On the first contention regarding criminal jurisdiction, the judgment was vague and full of generality. It did not say clearly whether jurisdiction could be exercised on the basis of nationality of the victim, but it held that the offence produced its effects on Turkish vessel and consequently in a place assimilated to Turkish territory in which the application of Turkish criminal law cannot be challenged, even in regard to offences committed there by foreigners. The second French contention was similarly rejected. The French government, although able to show that jurisdiction normally followed the flag, was unable to establish that international law recognizes the exclusive jurisdiction of the flag state over incidents occurring on the high seas. The court observed that if a guilty act committed on the high seas produces its effects on a vessel flying another flag or in foreign territory, the same principle must be applied as if the territories of two different states were concerned, and the conclusion must therefore be drawn that there is no rule of international law prohibiting the state to which the ship on which the effects of the offence have taken place belongs, from regarding the offence as having been committed in its territory and prosecuting accordingly the delinquent. The majority opinion of the court clearly brought the case under the principle of the objective territorial jurisdiction, and on the territorial jurisdiction the court remarked that though it is true that in all systems of law the territorial character of criminal law is fundamental, it is equally true that nearly all of these systems of law extend their action to offences committed outside the territory of the state which adopts them, and they do so in ways which vary from state to state. The territoriality of criminal law therefore is not an absolute principle of international law and by no means coincides with territorial sovereignty. However, failing any permissive rule, international law contains a general prohibition that the states cannot extend the application of their laws and the jurisdiction of their courts to persons, property and acts outside their territory. It leaves the states in this respect a wide measure of discretion to decide for themselves about their jurisdiction, which is limited in certain cases by prohibitive rules. The court opined that the onus lay on the state challenging the jurisdiction to show that it was prohibited by international law. On the question of competence of Turkey to exercise jurisdiction on territorial basis, Judge Moore, in his dissenting opinion in Lotus case, remarked, quote, unquote, quote, it appears to be now universally admitted that when a crime is committed in the territorial jurisdiction of one state as the direct result of the act of a person, at the time corporeally present in another state, international law, by reason of the principle of constructive presence of the offender at the place where this act took effect, does not forbid the prosecution of the offender by the former state should he come within its territorial jurisdiction. The objective territorial principle has also been supported by many international conventions and international studies. Though under few conventions, such as the Geneva Convention for the Suppression of Counterfeiting Currency 1929, Geneva Convention for the Suppression of Illicit Drug Traffic 1936, the objective as well as subjective territorial principle have been incorporated. Therefore, states parties are bound to punish crimes related to counterfeiting and drug traffic if any conspiracy or attempt to commit these offences take place within their territory. Territorial jurisdiction is much applicable to aliens as to citizens. An alien can be exempted from this jurisdiction only if he is able to show that, by reason of some special immunity, he is not subject to the operation of the local law. Point B, the local law is not in conformity with international law. Though there is a close connection between territory and criminal jurisdiction which can be extraterritorial only if permitted by agreement or custom, civil jurisdiction is less dependent on the territorial principle. A civil court adjudicating a dispute involving a foreign element can apply the law of the place within which the transaction has the most real connection or where the events given rise to the litigation occurred. So it has been the meaning and basic principles of jurisdiction, state jurisdiction, meaning and then basis. So other points I will discuss in next video lectures. I hope this lecture will be fruitful to you to understand the concept and theories of jurisdiction of states. Thank you very much.